Your values are your energetic hygiene. They're your emotional hygiene. Too many people, and I was one of them, too many people are in places they don't want to be.
So tell me about what you do. How long have you been doing sort of the grieving wellness? I'm really, really excited to dig into all that. It was really intriguing.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I've been in the wellness space, I would say, for about at least 22 years, starting with massage therapy. And then coming into health coaching and massage education. And really, I have a background and I have a degree in adult education. So it really helps me when I need to create workshops and learning opportunities, because I think what happens is you can always read about things on Google, but you just don't know how to apply what you read. So what ends up happening is people go, I got nutrition, I got my supplements, I got, so-and-so said, eat this and get good sleep, or someone said, do this and exercise. And when people come to me, I've got a quilt of all these patches that people have patched together and there's no system. And the body is so smart, it works on a system. So your patchwork looks like duct tape everywhere. So a lot of the times I spend getting people into a system, and sort of there's a bit of unlearning in order to learn and move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Where do you usually start with clients? Like, what's sort of the first thing you break down, or what usually gives that sort of catalyst for change?
I start by usually I'll listen to what people are complaining about, because I work in a functional medicine capacity, which means I'm always looking for the root cause of the problem. So whatever someone says, my brain first goes, why would that happen? Why would that happen? And why would that happen? And then why would that happen? And so with every why, I start to look at patterns. So when people come complaining, for massage, for example, my shoulders hurt, my back hurts, this hurts, that hurts, why? And sometimes, or rather not sometimes, but what I have found is people want to know information and they try to analyze it in their head. But where you feel the problem is in your body. So you cannot solve a body's problem in your head. You have to solve the problem in the body. So when people come in for a massage and they're talking about their shoulder pain, they're in their head. And that's why when they get on the table and I can feel what's going on, I can then peel back and ask them the questions. And sometimes I think they're relieved. And sometimes I think they're a little freaked out that I can get back into their history. But it isn't to freak them out. It's just to really hone in and get laser focused on where the root of the problem is so we can solve the problem.
So I've been sort of doing massage, and I tried chiropractor just because I thought, it sort of releases stress. It sort of allows you to calm down, reset. Is that the right approach to it? Physically, I'm pretty sort of healthy. I always stretch my back, so I don't have any actual back problems, but I sort of do it to sort of release any tension if I'm having like a stressful week. Is that the right approach to it, or would you recommend something different?
So what I would say is, you just said, I don't really have any back problems. I'm going to ask you, how do you know?
I guess when I was maybe a bit younger, I used to feel like sort of soreness in my lower back. But as I started using foam rollers, standing table, getting a better chair, memory foam sort of bed, I no longer feel those lower back pains.
Okay, so your experience with resolving a pain issue kind of led you down the path of thinking, okay, I've solved the problem. Yeah. That may or may not be true. That's not to say you're wrong at all. It's just to say that's not the only measurement. Pain is not the only measurement. I'll tell you why. Can you see my shoulders?
Yes.
They kind of look like they're at the same level, right?
Yes.
Okay, I've actually had people come into my massage place kind of like that. No idea whatsoever they're walking around like that.
Wow.
None whatsoever. Not any pain. They just feel a little bit of tension, have no idea that they're literally walking around like this.
Okay.
Also, if you have, you're using the keyboard, you're texting, you're, say, using a cycle or driving, right? Everything happens in a motion, like, coming towards what we call internal rotation in. And when you go into internal rotation and you stay there for a while, like on a keyboard, on a, driving, what happens is your muscles, for example, adjust and adapt and become curved. That doesn't mean you're always going to feel pain, but you are going to compensate incorrectly. So when you do things on a daily maintenance, just like your teeth, it is just like your teeth. Why would you brush your teeth if you don't have cavities? Why would you brush your teeth why would you brush your teeth if the cavity doesn't hurt? You see, people wait till something hurts and then they go fix the problem. But it's kind of like, if you do the preventative work, you brush your teeth every day, you use floss, you make sure that you're taking care of your general hygiene, right? The foods you eat, you kind of use a tongue scraper. So all these things are all preventative, and they lead you either to better outcomes or they reverse potential for adverse outcomes.
So given the fact that I sort of do all these preventative measures, I stretch out, I do yoga, I go on afternoon walks, I have a active lifestyle, and I went to the chiropractor the first time ever going to a chiropractor, and he didn't see anything wrong. Am I in the clear, or should I get a second opinion?
So the thing is, that's a really good question, and I want to really make sure I address this very specifically. We go through what I call bumps all day, right? Meaning we strain our body, whether it's texting, whether it's looking at the computer, kind of like close up like that, or if we are sitting for a long time on multiple Zoom calls, we are straining the body. We're using it in a way that was never intended. So in order to create good outcomes with the body, we have to have almost as many methods of reversing the strain we put on it. When you reverse things in a consistent fashion to which they're created, you now balance out everything so you can be balanced on a daily basis, right? So whether it's your food, whether it's your sleep, whether it's your exercise, all of these strains and excesses can be brought to a baseline. That baseline, the more you do that, keeps you in a healthier space, keeps you on the side of illness as opposed to wellness. I'm sorry, it's the other way. A preventative keeps you in wellness instead of illness. Sorry about that.
Yeah, totally fine. How do I know if I'm at baseline?
Your baseline would be if you were going to a massage therapist, right? Your massage therapist would be able to give you an assessment right away. If you go to a chiropractor, your chiropractor gives you a different kind of assessment because we do different things. If you go to an acupuncturist, they're going to give you their assessment based on your meridians. And so it is not a one-stop shop like Western medicine. It's not like you go to your MD and they say, all right, well, take this pill for your acid reflux, and that should solve all the problems in the world. Your bank account, world starvation, it's not like that. So functional medicine really looks at how does an individual operate from a systemic, so the whole system. Now, you asked me, how do I know this with clients? So I talked to you a little bit about muscular assessment, right? That was one way. When I'm working with people with coaching, I also do what's called a timeline. And I get a sense of this person from the day they were born. In fact, in utero, I get a sense of their parents, their upbringing, what were the conditions environmentally, what kinds of foods did they eat, what kind of ethnicities were they surrounded by, what institutions were important to their family, like church or school or any other organizations. And what that tells me is a lot about other principles in functional medicine that help me find a root cause. So it could be related to ancestry. Certain ancestry have propensity towards certain illnesses. So I know that, especially looking foods that particular ethnic group eats. Like, if you're not getting it, or you're getting too much of it, or you're getting it in a form that is not okay, that can be a bit of a indicator for me. And then looking at things like antibiotic use, looking at, did you play in the mud? Because if you played in the mud as a child, you build a certain amount of microbiome or gut health, if you will. And so these are things that I map out on a timeline. So by the time the person comes to present day, let's say the person is, say, 35 years old or 40 years old. By the time I get to 40 years old, I have a whole set of information on this person. And interestingly, as I map these out, I see patterns around the person's eating, their medications, their family histories, choices they make, the mindset that they're in. So there's a lot of information there that I can start with.
Amazing. And on that topic of coaching, how did you get into coaching? Because we do have like a subset of audience of aspiring coaches or people who are doing coaching, but they're struggling to attract clients and get better. And any tips or advice on your sort of journey?
I think for me, it's been really getting clear, because I remember, even though I've been in a coaching role, because, prior to becoming more in the wellness space, I was in corporate America and I was in human resources. And I was advising a lot of managers and coaching them. So the coaching behavior has been mine ever since I graduated from college, right? But I had to then switch over. And my first change in career came in the form of massage. So I wasn't really coaching anyone in massage, but I was guiding them through their self-care. What happened was, when I got to Chicago, where I am right now, they changed the laws for massage therapy and basically made it very difficult for us to get business licenses in the city. And I just thought, I don't want to be moving. If I now move to another state, now I've got to put up with their idiosyncrasies, and another state, their idiosyncrasies, right? So I wanted a platform that was relatively neutral for my message. And in the US, there's no licensure. There's a really new certification, but as long as you have a certification from your school, pretty much you can be a health coach. So that allowed me to expand my reach. And it also gave me a newer type of audience where I didn't have to be just one-on-one, because obviously massage is one-on-one. Now I could go out, I could have workshops, I could meet people in the community, I could have Zoom calls. So I had a lot of different ways to reach people. The difficulty came in how to transfer my massage and hands-on skill into a coaching realm and utilize what I learned in coaching school, but actually make it work. So the application of the coaching principles, that's where I struggled, because I would say things like, oh, I work with people who are stressed out, because as a massage therapist, that's what I said. And people lined up at the door. When I said that in coaching, people said, well, who isn't stressed out? Right? So they didn't really see stress as a reason to get a coach. They were like, who isn't stressed out? Everybody's stressed out. We don't need a coach for that. But they did, because they didn't know how to come out of the stress. They had normalized stress as, a headache. Who doesn't get a headache? Everybody gets a headache. But my message is, why is there a headache? What are you doing about it? Are you popping a pill? Because actually what you should be looking at is, why do you have a headache? So the starting of my coaching was a little bumpy and slow. And part of that was also because I had a career in massage therapy. So I wasn't really, jumping around trying to change tracks. I was looking for ways to integrate. And eventually I realized that if I said stressed out, I wasn't going to get the kind of clients like I did for massage. So I had to change the way I spoke with people. So I started specializing in gut health, because that's where I saw a lot of chronic problems. I started talking about chronic health issues like diabetes, heart issues. That's when people started saying, oh, me, pick me. And I was like, oh, okay, this is where the audience starts to listen. But it was still not enough for me to leave massage and completely switch over. But the day came when I had previously burned out in corporate America, which is why I completely left that industry, left that area. But now I was starting to feel a bit of a burnout signal in massage, and I did not want that to happen. And so I was talking to my coach at the time, and our conversation led us down the path of people who grieve, and how I had worked on many people who had grieved, but I wasn't really thinking about it as something outstanding, right? I was just like, oh, they're grieving. They came in for massage. I comforted them. But then it really struck me differently. And I think timing is everything. I think the fact that I was burning out, I was looking for something different to, one, inspire me, and two, to bring something that wasn't available. So when a client came to me and said, I don't know what you can do for me with massage, but my daughter died. That was the day I had what I call my divine download, and was able to, through my hands, comfort her, but also help her feel less stressed out, because grief brings a whole bunch of stress with it. So when I talked to my business coach about it, who had been through a lot of grief, we kind of came to an understanding that this might be what I was looking for. And it must have been, because I have not looked back. That was in May of 2019. And then, of course, people would say, oh, I don't have anybody that's dead, so I don't really know that I'm your right client. So I was still forming my message. But then the pandemic came, And we saw losses like we've never seen before. We saw lives lost, businesses lost, marriages lost, personal freedoms lost. So now I no longer have to explain the word loss. People understand that it can be more than just a person dying. Sometimes, and now it's to the point where I'm finding that people that are coming more in my direction are women who are either single or child free. They've made choices not to have children. And now they're waking up because they've given their life to their jobs or their careers. And they're waking up one morning going, what's there for me? I'm in my 50s. Like, is this all that there is? And there's that grief for a lost dream or a unfulfilled purpose. So I say all this to you because I think it's a bit of an evolution, and it's being able to, when you see a river with lots of rocks and you kind of hop onto one and then you hop onto the other and you hop on, there's no guarantees. You could fall in the water, but you could also take the step to go to the next step.
Interesting. And how do you have all this energy to take on all this grief? How do you recharge? Do you find yourself sort of giving a piece of yourself with each client, and by the end of the day you sort of need to recharge? Or is it something where you don't feel like it's a work at all for you?
I recharge on a daily basis, whether I have clients or not. That is my personal practice. So I start the day with a morning routine. I do some journaling, meditation, visualization. I set an intention for the day. I make sure that the people I surround myself energize me. I'm very clear about making sure that I'm inspired. And so these things kind of keep me in a place of resilience. Yeah. And I know the difference, having burned out and lost my mind 15 years ago. So I know the difference. The person you see today or you hear today did not exist 15 years ago when I lost my mind, because I had no energy. I had so much weight, excess weight, because I was eating anything and everything. I couldn't string a sentence together because my brain had lost its capacity to think sequentially.
Wow.
So I will tell you, it was very painful, and I don't wish it on anyone, which is why I do the work I do. And when people are in grief, that's something that maybe they didn't foresee it, so they have to deal with it. And so I give them the tools to bring them out of that quickly. So how do I maintain boundaries? I maintain a certain amount of rituals to keep my resilience. And then we are taught in massage school how to separate our energies from people. So we have a boundary we build. So it's an energetic boundary. So when you come in, I don't take on your energy. And if I'm having the worst day possible, and maybe something happened, maybe I did my morning routine, but maybe something happened right on the way to work. Yeah. I can keep that contained, so I'm not pushing it onto you. So in the grief space, it's a little extra mindfulness towards that. But I also, my people in my circle know when I've massaged, because I usually don't socialize after that. I usually go home and make sure I'm taking care of myself.
That's beautiful. Now, one thing I really sort of like is sort of, you're always using the word why instead of getting down to the root cause. So for example, if I'm feeling stressed or I feel like I'm tense, okay, why am I feeling tense? Okay, it's because, I have a lot of employees and we're spending a lot of money each month, and we're sort of at a negative sort of delta each month. Okay, why is that stressful? Because we only have a limited runway. Why is that stressful? Because I'm scared I'll run out of money. Why is that stressful? Because then all these employees that are working with me, they're going to be out of jobs. Why is that stressful? Because I don't want to let this person that's worked with me for 2 years and gave up everything to put everything into our company be out jobless. And that feels really bad. And that's what's causing me stress. So now that I'm at the root cause, what next?
So when you ask about the root cause is a way to open doors to solutions. So when you do it only when things get bad, it's kind of like the person who goes only when there's pain. When you go from a place when there is no pain, you're building your avenues, you're building your income streams, you're building your resources, you're building your network. Okay, so maybe the person you're working with, you got to lay them off because you don't have the money for their position anymore in your company. If you don't have a network, that's on you. But if you have a network, you can say, hey, I'm going to call my so-and-so, or I'm going to tap into my network so that this person has an opportunity to meet people who could lead them somewhere. So it's all about, at the end of the day, I think it's all about daily resource building, daily resilience building. You know, it literally goes back to Rome was not built in a day. Nothing's built in a day. And when you don't build it, and this is, I don't want to talk about it as a, someone's not intelligent if they don't do it, but I think it's lacking awareness. And I know, I mean, I went to college, I got the degrees, I had the corporate job, I was climbing, I was doing the things, and it led me to flat on my back, right? And it was only through that experience, but I had been, even in corporate, I had been resourceful, but the way I was resourceful was if I wanted to get a promotion or if I wanted a job somewhere, I had enough of a network that I could reach out and say, hey, do you know of opportunities? At that point, I wasn't as resourceful about health. I knew I wanted to stay healthy because my parents didn't have a healthy profile. So I knew I wanted to stay healthy. So I would do things that kept me there. But I wouldn't say that I had the resources or the awareness that I have today. That came, I have been working meticulously on this since 1995. So do you see what I mean? It's like, it's not, I woke up one day, it's not the overnight success people talk about. It's every single day.
Interesting. And I was going to ask, like, what about when it comes to like mental health and stress? How do you build resources when it comes to that? And I think you sort of answered the question. It's sort of building up the meditation, the sleeping early, realizing diet is important, and all of a sudden you have all these resources to sort of improve your mental health. It doesn't have to be literally people or connection. It could be skills.
Habits. It's daily habits. It's exactly what I said earlier, which is brushing your teeth. That's a daily habit. There is no guarantee that you won't have cavities, but you're reducing the opportunity for it. You're also maintaining a certain standard of hygiene, right? So you have to maintain physical hygiene, mental hygiene, emotional hygiene, spiritual hygiene, energetic hygiene. So I do these, just about every day.
Are there days where you literally do everything? You do the affirmations, the meditations, you do the cold shower, and then 9 a.m. you're at the table and you're like, I don't want to work. My motivation's gone. I don't feel this buzz even though I did everything. And it's like a bit of hopelessness. You're like, I did everything. Why do I still feel this way?
And I would ask you, how close is what you're sitting in front of aligned with your values? Your values are your energetic hygiene. They're your emotional hygiene. Too many people, and I was one of them, too many people are in places they don't want to be. And they feel that they have to be there. And they kind of give themselves, and I know this from personal experience, they give themselves their own sentence of pain. And it could be based on a lot of things. I will tell you that for me in my corporate world, it was pleasing my dad, right? So it could be a people pleasing, it could be a community pleasing, it could be like certain cultures require certain behaviors. So maybe you're trying to conform to that behavior. And maybe if you're raised outside of your culture and you follow the new culture and it conflicts with your family's culture, now you don't want to stand out when you go to family gatherings. So you kind of do whatever you can to kind of fit in, right? And these are where people start to live outside their values. And as soon as someone starts to talk to me and they say, I don't like this, I don't like that, or I'm feeling not motivated by this or that or the other, I have a values conversation with them. And it is extremely eye-opening for them. Now, it doesn't make the conversation easier if it's like in conflict with your, say, family's expectations, right? But that's where courage comes in. And that's where I help them build their blueprints for courage and stepping into their values and building their house on their values, not somebody else's values and expectations. In order to go in a direction, you have to hold a compass. The person standing next to you, across from you, behind you, cannot hold a compass.
How do you know what you're currently doing is within your values and it's like your final life mission? So for example, I've worked a 9-to-5 job. I've done different things and I sort of know what I'm doing right now. It's the most fun, I've ever been. But then that's what I thought about the thing I did before that. And the thing I did before that, each time I keep exploring, I'm like, oh, wow, this is something that I love even more. How do you know when you're sort of near that end? Or is it going to be like that for your life where you're just constantly going to keep finding things that are better and better and better?
So my first question is, why should there be an end? If you enjoy something, why should there be an end? Mm-hmm. And this is where you're not the only person that asks me this, but I'm glad you did, because I have the same question with massage. How long should I do a massage? Well, why would you want to stop it? If you feel good and it addresses your daily problems, why would you want to stop it? Why would you want to, people don't stop taking their medications, even if, until a doctor says, stop taking the medication, right? They will take it, but they have, how long do I have to do massage? How long do I have to go to chiropractic? How long do I have to, I don't know, until you feel better. But what are you doing to feel better? And why would you want to stop something that helps you feel better, or helps you grow, or helps you feel inspired, or helps you live in the joy you should be living in? And I hate to use the word should, but I'm going to just use it for the sake of ease of language over here. Yeah. So when, our natural state is a general neutral level of happiness. That's what we call well-being. So many people don't even have a baseline of well-being, or just a basic sense of neutral. That's either worry, anxiety. Very few people intentionally engage in daily joy. And we're not meant to be that way. That is when we get sick, when we start having anxiety. Anxiety is who we're trying to be, not who we are. Always. So this is where I come back to values. Relaxation or a state of non-tension is who you are. Tension and anxiety is who you're trying to be.
Interesting, because what I'm sort of doing now, sort of building an education company, it's challenging, it's difficult. And just like a workout, just like when I do my 2-minute planks each morning, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, but I know it's sort of good for me. But then, I also know that if I sort of work after 30 days, I'm pretty sick of working and I just want to go ahead and travel. But I know that if I travel for 7 days, I get sick of traveling and I want to go back to work. But I haven't found something that I can do every day, 7 days a week, all year round. Well, what's your thoughts on those different thoughts?
I'm going to once again question, why does it have to be the same thing every single day? And be very clear, I'm not questioning discipline. That's definitely not what I'm questioning. But you have to find your rhythm. If you make a schedule just to make a schedule, that is neither in your values nor in your rhythm. You're just doing it to do. Your brain cannot hold the energy for that. At some point, it's going to say, hey, I'm really bored with this, or yeah, this isn't working for me. And it really goes back to personal alignment. You can train yourself to do the thing. You could train yourself, just like a marathon runner, right? They're training themselves to run a very long way. That doesn't mean they run marathons 24/7, 365. They come in and out of it. So if you're building a company, it has to be, you would see a need. First of all, you would identify a need. You would identify how you can fulfill the need or create the resources to fulfill that need. But if it was directly in opposition, if any of that journey is in opposition of your personal values, you will struggle.
Now, what's your definition of opposition to personal value? Is it uncomfort? Is it feeling a lot of anxiety? Is it feeling like a gut feeling that something wrong? Like, what's like a normal sort of like natural thing of, hey, this is a bit stressful, versus, hey, like, I feel like there's a loss of identity and I shouldn't be doing this. How do you differentiate that?
Tell me something you really like to do.
I really like practicing piano 15 minutes every morning.
Okay. Why?
It's sort of really relaxing. There's a sense of satisfaction as I sort of learn and improve.
Okay. What do you think some of your highest values are?
Doing things that I love, doing things for me, and trying to really snap out of doing things just cause.
So playing the piano aligns for you, aligns with that basic value, right?
Mm.
So in your body, if I say playing the piano, what do you feel? Do you feel like your shoulders are going up and you're tensing, or do you feel a sense of calm and you could smile about it?
Yeah, a bit of like butterflies.
Okay. So now think of something you really dread.
Let's see. Okay. I really dread sales. I really, really dread doing sales and trying to convince people that my product is good, even though when I know it's good, but I hate selling.
Why is that?
It feels like I am trying to convince someone, and I'm having to justify my worth and justify my product's worth when I know it's good, and I'm having to sort of convince people, and it's painful, and it's not it's just like it feels wrong to me.
Okay, so your understanding of sales is you've got to convince somebody.
Correct.
What about if you thought of sales as helping somebody? Because I'll tell you, I can sell massage with my eyes closed. I don't really have to say much. I've, and this is an example, right?
Yes, please.
I believe in massage so much that it shows in my work, and then my clients do the talking for the most part. So when I come to them with something that I'm offering, I don't have to sell. I just go, hey, I'm doing this special. Do you want any part of it? No? Okay, great. Or how many do you want? And they've given me ideas. They're like, hey, you put out the sales page. I bought 3. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think anyone was going to buy 3. But it's because it aligns with my values. If you had to talk to somebody about piano lessons, do you think you'd be selling them on that?
So I'm practicing piano, but I'm not that good yet. But let's say I was better at piano and I wanted to teach someone, I guess I wouldn't have to be like, hey, like, I know piano, do you want to learn? I'd be really nonchalant about it because I don't rely on piano as like a source of income.
Right. So when you look at something, you can either reframe it to align with your values. So for example, I do a value exercise with my clients because it's so cornerstone, right? So I do a values exercise, and I did this morning actually with one of my clients. I made her pull out her value sheet, and I said, okay, these are the things you said you want to do. Let's match them up. Where do you see your values in all of these things you want to do? And that one helps her associate differently. And 2, it reframes any objections she has within herself. And that she also knows that when she works with me as a client, journaling is a huge part. It's a huge part of everyday habit. Because it is almost like I explain to my clients, journaling is a daily decluttering. It has to happen with pen and paper because of how it works with the brain. It can't happen on like a stylus and a device or a typing or anything like that. It really has to be a pen and paper type of situation. And it doesn't matter how it flows onto the paper. So a little bit of what I'm talking is sort of like this journey that people go on with me, and they find the meaning of what it is they want to do. And when you find that meaning, you keep yourself in a state of that sort of relaxation, that sense of peace. There's no people pleasing. There's no inner conflict that continues to be gnawing at you. There's no suppression of emotion. It really is a way of being. And it puts you in a place where you become emotionally resourceful, so that even when you don't like something, you can reframe it in a way that gets you through it.
That's beautiful. tell me more about sort of your program. Where can people and my audience find more about what you do, Marelda?
They can go to my website. So it's mareldarodrigues.com.
Beautiful. I'll link it below.
And also, they can follow me on my YouTube channel. They can, I've got a Facebook business page. So there's a couple of different ways. And I can certainly drop you the link so that you can give it to your audience.
Yeah. I really appreciate your time today, Marelda. It was really interesting. I think it was so surprising to hear that, you worked in the corporate space and you climbed the ladder and you were able to sort of transition and you had that epiphany, and it was like an amazing, beautiful story to hear. And I love how now you're sort of then transitioning and sharing it with other people and helping other people. So it was an amazing story, and I had a blast listening to it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Andy. Thanks so much.
Awesome, Marelda. So yeah, that's another episode. Hope you guys got value today. If you guys made it to end, thank you so much for giving me your time and listening to this episode. And we'll see you guys with another episode next week. Peace.